Hello, kids. Let's get it underway for another day. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. Conveniently, this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk. It's Wednesday, April 17, 2024. It is our episode 554, and they said it wouldn't last. We've got lots of shenanigans for you until 3 o'clock. We'll hand off to Brian Wilson at that time. Hope you're able to spend every single moment with us. 180 minutes. That's our allotment of time, and it goes by just like that. You can listen. Well, I mean, you can. You folks can. I mean, of course, that's
actually the one I'm into.
Well, one way or the other, we'll have a lot of the yelling and a lot of the shenanigans on the show today until Brian Wilson in the drive. Many ways to listen and watch the show. Let's run that down for you just real quickly. Obviously, you can find us on the radio dial 99.7 FM all throughout Middle Tennessee, from Kentucky to Alabama and all points in between. We're, of course, streaming on any streaming platform of your choosing. I mean, if you find a streaming platform that you enjoy that provides news or music or information or podcast or whatever, if you just type in Super Talk 99.7 WTN, we'll be there. And if we're not there, let me know, and I'll get us there jivvy quick. And then, of course, there's Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Super Talk TV is available for you masochists in the listening audience that want to look at my fine... Oh, no. Uh-oh. I just realized something. Hold on.
You got a button undone?
Yeah, I had a little button undone there. There we go.
I like that shirt, though.
Oh, thanks a lot. This is I feel like we should leave the show and maybe go bowl a couple
It's like
games.
Matthew Perry left his Chandler wardrobe to you.
Yeah, well, this is during his I'm not taking drug years. Is that okay to say? Too soon?
Yes.
Is it too soon? Right, because it's a little bigger.
He would have said it.
I mean, right. I mean, you knew if any aficionado of Friends, you would know. Sadly, when Matthew, gosh, why can't I remember his name?
Perry.
Matthew Perry. When he was going through some of his drug-related struggles, his pill-related struggles, he would get all skinny. And then when he was in rehab, he would bulk up a little bit. But anyway, I digress. You can find us on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Bell K is asked every day. Every day I come in and I say, Bell, you want to be on the Super Talk TV today? And Bell says, no, thank you. That's what he says. But he does participate in his own way by entitling every episode. And today's episode 554 is entitled.
Well, I got a little surly on this one, because I don't know if you know this, but I work on the Matt Murphy Show.
Mm-hmm.
Today's title is Matt Murphy. Daypart Trader Says What? More betrayal from the host.
So Bell is referring to the fact that tomorrow and Friday, Brian Wilson is out and on the drive, as is the case more often than not. They ask if I will shift over to the afternoon drive time to sub in for Brian, and
I never
I'm happy
get consulted
to do that.
on this.
I know you don't. There's a good reason for that. You were consulted once or twice early on, and your objections were duly noted, Bell.
And then ignored.
Noted, ignored, and then someone made a note. Note to self. This is Dan Mandis talking, by the way.
Yes.
Note to self, do not invite Bell back to the planning meetings. There. And there you go. So tomorrow and Friday we will not be in. My entire show has blown up. This is an incredible news week. We have so much going on. We got a lot of activity in the General Assembly that may or may not affect you, especially if you're a parent. We have a lot of activity going on nationally, some of which might affect you, some of which, not so much. We'll talk about all of it as we take your telephone calls and get your response to it at 615-737-9986. I'm excited about that.
You didn't finish your thought.
About?
You're filling in for Brian on Thursday and Friday.
I'm filling in for Brian on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Was that?
So you won't be here. We'll have Jennifer Sheets on Thursday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And Cameron
Protect
Smith
me.
will fill in on Friday.
And I don't know if Cameron, speaking of daypart traders, daypart traders.
Maybe I shouldn't let him on. Well, you know what? We'll just do Chris Plant reruns.
Speaking of daypart traders, so Cameron Smith, a.k.a. Cameron Romney, a.k.a. Conservative Closet at the Tennessean. He writes for the Tennessean. He writes for a number of publications. He's an old friend, or at least I thought he was.
I got a new one.
What?
Brown-haired John McCain. Bearded John McCain.
Bearded John McCain. That's pretty good. We could, we could call him Grizzly McCain.
There you go.
Yeah, he's sporting the lumberjack beard. Anyway, so I turn on the radio as I do, and I'm listening to the one and only Dan Mandis of Nashville's Morning News, as we all do. And who do I hear on this Wednesday but Cameron Smith? Great conversation. You should go back and listen. Podcast available. But I'm like, what are you doing, buddy? You coming on? Well, we'll talk to him about that, amongst other things, at 2 o'clock today, unless he's decided to skip out on our show in lieu of going on Nashville's Morning News this morning with Dan Mandis. So here's how everything's blown up. And we're family, and I feel it important that we allow you to peek behind the curtain to understand some of what we're doing, because my goal every day, I mean, some would disagree with this. Some say that I'm just a loudmouth on the radio, and that's true. But my goal every day is to find and impart the important news and information to you and to give you an opportunity, a platform, the public square, the electronic public square, to speak back, to speak truth to power. That is what we're here for. To offer a voice to the people. And so in that regard, I have been following this education scholarship bill. Many of you are for it. Many of you are against it. And then there are the Democrats. So this has somewhat split conservatives in the state of Tennessee. There's a faction of conservatives that say that it is too much government, I guess, or too much government involvement in the public school, or rather private school system. They feel like that this is the proverbial camel nose under the tent. I don't begrudge you your position on it. I disagree with it. I don't begrudge it. And there are others that believe that infusing choice and opportunity for parents who want it and who need it is always a good thing, and public education must be broken. The private educational opportunities present themselves only to those who can afford them. We need to try to open that up to those that perhaps cannot quite afford them, make those opportunities available, and that will ultimately make public schools better. This is the idea. Whether it happens or not is on them. It makes them better because of the nature of the competition involved. So you infuse competition into the system. You have to do that in order to make it work. John Stossel, the one and only John Stossel, the worst interview that I've ever done in my life, John Stossel, and I love the man. I would hug his neck if I saw him. John Stossel's one of the two men that taught me to be a libertarian. The other being Neil Boards. Why are you looking confused?
After the criticism I got yesterday for hugging Glenn Jacobs, that just comes out of your mouth.
Well, yeah. Well, you didn't ask. I didn't see you ask.
I did not. In fact, I said on Twitter I did not ask for his consent.
Yeah. Hashtag me too, says Glenn Jacobs. But I would hug the man's neck. He did give me the worst radio interview that I've ever had in my life. I don't think he was really into it, but one way or the other, he taught me the concepts that I am imparting on you or to you. And that is that if you remove competition from a system, you're always going to get an inferior product. You just are. It's the nature of human beings. It's the nature of the market. If you turn a free market into a monopoly, you're going to get an inferior thing. And that is what we're seeing with public education. And while we nip around the edges with private schools and we nip around the edges with religious-based schooling and we nip around the edges with homeschooling, it's not enough to change the dynamic of the public education system. So we have to start rethinking about public education. I would start here. I don't believe that public education is a human right. At least public education funded by the government. And I think it has presented itself as an inferior product, and I am willing to do anything and everything to try to get it better to benefit children. I don't think the teachers' unions give one silly damn about the kids. And why would they? That's not their job. Oh, that's the way they present themselves, and the mainstream media, they love it. They eat it up. They don't challenge that narrative. Oh, the teachers' unions are here for the children. No, they're not. Who told you that? They're here for the teachers. It's not called the children's union. It's called the teachers' union. Yeah, you don't hear about the amount of money. You don't hear Phil Williams over at News Channel 5 talking about the amount of money that comes out of the teachers' union to challenge anything that would break the monopoly that public education has regarding educating our children. You don't hear anything about that. And you won't, because they're bought and paid for. That said, I believe in trying to help the children and the parents, giving them maximum tools in their educational toolbox in order to get the best opportunities for their kids. All of that to say, I understand why some don't like this deal in particular. I understand why some have, I understand it. I disagree with it, but we can have a reasonable conversation about it. All of that to say, we were set to speak with Representative Scott Sapicki today as opposed to tomorrow. Two reasons. One, I'm in the afternoon drive tomorrow. Number two, I wanted to get him on as soon as possible to give an update on where we are on the education scholarship bill. One that has created the most buzz across the state of Tennessee, one that's being watched closely by parents all across the state. Maybe some of you are tiring of talking about it or tiring of hearing about it, but it is a massive sea change if it were to happen in the state of Tennessee in how we view education. That said, yesterday I made the statement that I thought it was dead. Every indication that I had was that it was dead, and that if this thing continues, I'm going to be referring to it as the Lazarus Bill because it has to be brought back to life. Well, everything that I've been told today is that it has been brought back to life, but it is on life support in the General Assembly. All of that to say, no Scott Sapicki today. He is busy with bills on the floor of the House of Representatives. We're working to schedule him for tomorrow or Friday, an afternoon drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We had also scheduled, this is how my day went. I had the big Sapicki conversation where I was going to open up the phone lines and we were going to see with a certain degree of finality where we were going on this thing and get Sapicki to finally answer these questions. Well, that's not happening. Well, I had scheduled at 12:35 this afternoon during the Libertarian lunchtime hour, our good friend Representative Gino Bolso, who was set to come on and announce that his flag bill had passed in the state of Tennessee. Hallelujah. If you are not familiar with the flag bill, I'll give you the synopsis. It is basically a bill that would stop these teachers from infusing their own political viewpoints or cultural or social viewpoints, woke agenda within the classroom in the state of Tennessee in public education. In other words, it designed a method by which you can determine whether or not flag or insignia or other paraphernalia is appropriate for the classroom. Right now, you have a lot of gay pride flags. You have a lot of LGBTQ plus spirit animal flags. You have even some BLM flags and whatnot flying in the classroom. Of course, if you had a "Don't tread on me," someone would complain. You see how that is? If
that's racist.
Well, that's right. That's a racist flag, Bell. Everybody knows that.
Speaking of which, where did our Gadsden flag go?
It's here. It's here. I decided when it fell down that I had put it back up on the wall like 14 times. And when it fell the last time, I decided that someone else should put it back up, and I was waiting on Mandis or Hand to do it, and, well, I'm still waiting. I don't blame Hand. He doesn't know. Actually, I take that back. I do blame Hand. I blame them both. Anyway, it's right here. It's right here. I thought about buying another flagpole, but then I remembered that I bought the first two, so I'm not doing that. One way or the other, the flag bill has not passed yet, and so Gino Bolso will be on tomorrow at 4:35 on the drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So that's how my day's going. But their loss is your gain, so let's open it up. 615-737-9986. And we open it up with a conversation about our man, Donald Trump. I love this guy. I love him so much. I mean, sometimes I'll take the head in hand moments every day of the week and twice on Sunday if I can get moments like what happened yesterday. Liberals do not want to know what it is about Donald Trump. I think, I don't know. I said something, and I don't know if it's true or not. I almost said that liberals don't want to know what it is about Donald Trump that's so appealing. I think they've tried to decide for themselves that it's all about racism, that it's all about bigotry, it's all about sexism. There are liberals in this world that believe that they must believe that 81 million, at least 81 million people in the United States of America are sexist, racist, chauvinist, xenophobic bigots because we voted for one. They've bought into that narrative that none of us believe. I don't believe that Donald Trump's chauvinist. I don't believe that he's sexist. I don't believe that he's racist. I don't believe that he's a bigot. I think he's a narcissist. I think Donald Trump sees three types of people. He sees friendlies, he sees usefuls, and he sees enemies. And that's it. I believe Donald Trump, let me say it again, sees three types of people: friendlies, usefuls, and enemies. And you can move from one category to the next at a moment's notice. At a moment's notice. And I think that's a good thing. He's an equal opportunity offender. I appreciate that. But he is also, believe it or not, a man of the people. And he has great instincts. And you cannot teach those instincts. And people naturally know that. We naturally know that Donald Trump is his own man. For better or worse, we naturally know. We feel it in our guts. When he shoots off a Truth Social post or an X post or whatever it is nowadays, and you're like, my goodness, Trump. I mean, he's done it. He's done it plenty of times where I'm like, you're handing them ammunition, Donald. What are you doing? I never doubt that he means it. I never doubt that he's his own man. And when his instincts are on point, they are unmatched in American politics because there's no calculus as to how it's going to play. And that is what we gravitate to. The pure, raw honesty that the man is. He is what he is. Liberals hate it. And many, many of us conservative or libertarian types, we love it. Yesterday, the bodega run was one of those moments. Who thinks of this? Hey, while we're on a break in court, where the liberal Democrats are attempting to use the judicial system of the state of New York to destroy a presidential candidate so he can't defeat their chosen presidential candidate using any means necessary, while they're in the midst of that, let's go to the little corner convenience store known as a bodega that Alvin Bragg tried to destroy because of the crime-ridden nature of the city of New York. And let's watch as the people start singing and chanting and loving on Donald Trump. I love it. I'll tell you more about the trial of the century coming up in just a moment. It's 12:23, just getting underway on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, a lot of conversation in the news about school teachers and safety and guns and the Second Amendment. But have you thought about your place of business? Have you thought if you are safe and secure? Do you know what you would do in the event of an unfortunate situation like workplace violence or, God forbid, an active shooter situation? I'm here to talk to you about that, and I'm here to recommend Defend Systems. Brink Fiddler has been a friend of mine since I first came to Nashville, and he has now hired a staff, a team of individuals knowledgeable as the day is long about defense, about security improvement and consultation, about emergency and intruder action plan, about rapid response medical training, and all of this is designed to be customized to your individual facility. I like to say that hope is not a plan. I've been saying that for a long time because it's not. Well, it really does apply when it comes to Defend Systems. The likelihood of something negative happening in your workplace, like a shooting, is very, 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 very small. Let's be clear about that. I'm not here to scare you, but it's not zero. That means hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained in a dangerously developing world, and the way you do it is make a call to Defense Systems. Reach out today at 615-236-6484, 236-6484, or go to defensesystems.com. That's defensesystems.com. All right, friends, we're entering a zone here where perhaps you're utilizing your health care coverage. Maybe you're banking a little money in your health care. Maybe you're thinking about your health as spring becomes summer. One way or the other, if you're thinking about health when it comes to health care, I want you to think Pat Davis and his team at Your Health Plan Man. Pat Davis and his team have been helping people get the right coverage at the best rates for years. I trust him. I've had so many conversations with Pat, not just about talking with you about what he does and how he does things differently, but also talking about my wife and getting her health care coverage above and beyond what is offered from an employee benefit standpoint, because we felt like we could do it a little bit better, and that it's an individual decision. But we decided to go the Your Health Plan Man route. They have the Freedom of Choice plan available for you. Puts most of the coverage up front with no deductibles. You pick your doctors. It's 30 to 60% lower in cost than even Obamacare. Why allow the government to mandate things like maternity coverage if you don't need it? Why let the government manage your health care when you could manage your health care? Pat Davis can make that happen. YourHealthPlanMan.com is the website. Just spell it out, YourHealthPlanMan.com, or here's the number, 855-4-PLAN-MAN, 855-4-PLAN-MAN. Let's do it numerically, 855-475-2662. He picks amongst the coverages, and he finds the best plan for you. It's YourHealthPlanMan.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I don't know, Bell. One of our fine membersnutrition.com super texters asked the question, asks a picky about the hot mic comment that he made yesterday. And I responded, do you mean the Phil Williams stuff or something else? Phil Williams of News Channel 5, whom I've called on several occasions. I've got Phil's cell number, and I'm trying to reach out to him to see if he'll come on the show, and I've not heard back. I And by the way, I don't have anything against Phil Williams except he throws rocks and hides his hand. He's an operative that hides behind the label of investigative reporter. Maybe he was an investigative reporter at some point in his life, but now, I mean, he's got some motivation behind what he's doing regarding the Education Scholarship Fund. He's not just trying to give both sides of the story. He's trying to get the people that are in favor of this. And toward that end, he found some secret recording of Scott Sapicki talking to a group of homeschool students in which Scott Sapicki said that that we've been nibbling around the edges of this education problem for a long time, and it's time to blow the thing up and build it back up. And, of course, liberals hear that, and all they hear is blow it up, and they lie to their constituents, and they lie generally to the people of the state of Tennessee and suggest that Scott Sapicki wants to destroy public education. And that's not true. If you want to know someone who wants to destroy the public education system in the state of Tennessee, you're talking to him. But, of course, I'm just a guy with a microphone on the radio. But I do question whether or not it's a government responsibility to force the taxpayers to fund public education, which is, in essence, government-run education, which is government-controlled education. If I go to a Catholic, let me ask you this question, Bell, and this is the biggest problem that I have with government education. One, no competition. That's biggest. Number two, Bell, if I send you to a Catholic school, are they going to be pro-Catholic or anti-Catholic?
Oh, man.
It's a toughie.
You know what? All right, I'm going to take a guess. So if I get it wrong, I apologize.
But I'm going to go down an octave.
Pro-Catholic? Maybe?
Ooh, sorry. You did not phrase your answer in the form of a question.
You asked the question.
That's true. Yes, pro-Catholic, of course. Well, if you send your kid to government education, what do you expect them to be? What do you expect them to be? They don't teach you how government gets things wrong. They don't teach you that it's not the government's responsibility to take care of certain matters. They indoctrinate. But I don't believe that's Scott Sapicki one bit. I think Scott Sapicki said what he said. I think he meant what he said. It's easily understood what he meant by what he said, but some liberals out there are going to intentionally misconstrue it, and Phil Williams is one of those liberals. That said, someone wrote in and said, I lost it here, that ask Sapicki about the hot mic moment, and my response was, are you talking about Phil Williams, or is there something else I need to know about? Because I've not heard about any other hot mic moment. But I'd love to hear. Brian and Ernie, we'll get to you momentarily. We'll get back to Donald Trump in New York City, tell you where that stands. I believe they are out of court now, as they have seated 7. They await 5 plus 6 alternates. We'll give you an update in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, let's talk for a moment about your health. Are you feeling it? Are you hurting somewhere? Do you feel pain in your back, in your neck, in your knee, in your hip, in your elbow? Anywhere that it hurts? Ankles? I don't mention ankles enough. Heck, in your toes. Does it hurt in your toes? Because I guarantee you they got some toe plans for you that they can help you out with at the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. You know, obviously, when you think about chiropractic care, you think about your spine, you think about your joints, you think about things that move from a spinal nature, but they are so much more than that in 2024. And it is thanks to Dr. Gill and his approach to all of this. He brought modern technologies years ago, never seen in Middle Tennessee, like spinal decompression. Dr. Gill was the first to bring that technology to Middle Tennessee. Now it is standard in the industry. And now Dr. Gill and his team, Dr. Wendy, Dr. V, Dr. Dominic, and the rest of the team, they're bringing things like the Class 5 laser system, red light therapy, all to pinpoint inflammation in the body to reduce pain, swelling, and accelerate healing. That is on soft tissue. So regardless of where the pain is, here's the bottom line, they are going to be able to attack the pain and eliminate it. That's what it's all about, making you pain-free without needing pills, without needing needles, and without considering surgery. And that is what it's all about. For less than $50, you can get in for a consultation today. If you hurt, you owe it to your body to do this. You'll thank me later. Give them a call at 615-882-4838, 882-4838. It's the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. Seven jurors have been sworn in, 5 to go, and 6 alternates, we believe, in the Trump trial, dog and pony show. In the meantime, United States senators are currently being sworn in as jurors, speaking of a dog and pony show, in the Alejandro Mayorkas trial in the United States Senate. The expectation is that this will not be a fair treatment, nor will it take very long. That Chuck Schumer, recognizing that he cannot violate the basic premises of the United States Constitution, and when handed these things by our own Congressman Mark Green, when delivered the articles of impeachment, as Mark Green did yesterday, along with House managers, that they are duty-bound to take them up and cannot act in any fashion until they do so. Right now, man, Chuck Grassley looks good. Look at there. Is that Chuck Grassley? I think he looks pretty good. Is that Chuck? That is Chuck. Huh. Don't change my channel, Bill K. Thank you. I'm watching as members of the United States Senate step forward and sign their names in as jurors. Here's how the process works. For those who don't know, allow me to explain it to those of you in Aniana. So an impeachment is like an indictment. All of this is a political process. Well, let's be clear. This is not a criminal court. It is a political court. I'm not saying that to disparage it. I'm not saying that as a pejorative, if you will. I'm saying it because it's the case. It is a political activity. Impeachment is. But it is an activity that mirrors a criminal court. So an impeachment would be an indictment in that respect. So if you have a grand jury or you have charges that have been presented against you, you can get an indictment against someone that charges you with certain things. And it is just that. It is a charge. It is an accusation of wrongdoing. In this case, Alejandro Mayorkas is being accused of not doing his job. As a matter of fact, he's being accused of actively doing that which is against the law, which is an impeachable offense, high crime and misdemeanor. So they set out the House managers bring over the articles of impeachment as passed by the House of Representatives, and they present it to the Senate. That is when the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court gets involved. That is also when the United States Senate gets involved as jurors in the case. And so you have House managers. They act as the prosecution. Alejandro Mayorkas gets an opportunity to offer a defense. The Senate sits in judgment, and the judge in the case is the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, John Roberts, unless he abdicates that responsibility to someone else. And then at the end of hearing evidence in favor of and against impeachment, the Senate votes as to whether or not to convict. So impeachment is neither a conviction nor anything other than an accusation. The conviction comes in the Senate, and you need 67 senators to vote in favor of conviction. No one expects that to happen. But what is important, and what Congressman Mark Green talked about this morning on Nashville's Morning News and in other platforms, is the effort to expose the unlawful nature of the Homeland Security Department under Alejandro Mayorkas and, by extension, under Joe Biden himself. There is not only lawlessness at the southern border, there is an active effort to bring illegal aliens into this country en masse as quickly as possible. There is a refusal to do the things necessary to mitigate the flood, the invasion of individuals coming into this country and committing unspeakable crimes. I could spend at 12:43 on Wednesday, April 17th, I could spend the rest of this show and the rest of this week describing those crimes to you. And I would never get done, because more crimes are added to the list every day. Laken Riley is just the tip of that iceberg that goes very, very deep. We heard of, brutal rapes. There was a disabled child that was raped by an illegal. And once again, that is not to say that American citizens do not commit atrocious acts. Obviously, they do. The point of the matter is that we deal with that because they are citizens of the United States of America, and we deal with that through our criminal justice system. If we would deal with the southern border, we would not have the addition of all of these illegal aliens that don't have any care in the world with regard to our laws, some of whom come specifically for the criminal activity itself. Once again, if I get into a fender bender with you and I am drunk, the very fact that I am drunk is a factor in the case, because I should not have been on the roads in the first place. So we're watching that as it goes on before our very eyes in Washington, D.C. today. Brian is in Brentwood. Hey, Brian, thanks for calling in. How are you? Hello, Brian.
Yes, I'm there.
Hey, Brian.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
The lady that was on Chris's show, is it Maccabee? Is that right?
Yeah, Sarah?
Yes. She broke my heart. That January 6th has been a deep, deep cut for me. My father served. I've got two brothers-in-law that were heroes in the Vietnam War. My dad was in World War II. And it just cuts me to the bone that we've got Desjardins and Ogles, and you know what? When you interview them, I like them. You know, I like who you like. Don't put me at the front of the line because I typically agree with everything you say, especially what you said about Trump today with how he acts and perceives things, way ahead of people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you talk to them again, you're a tough guy, Matt. You don't mind asking a tough question, and you know if there's a friendship to be lost, I don't want you to do that. I know you don't. You don't hold it personal, but it is personal when they won't give that lady time of day. That pisses me off more than anything I've heard today.
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit of a loss because I was working on my show and I did not hear Sarah today on Chris's show. I've had her on the show in the past, and she has a very compelling testimony about how her husband's been treated. What specific to Desjardins and Ogles did she mention?
Well, I'm sorry because I thought you were there, maybe prepping.
Well, I'm here. I'm prepping for my own show. I can't just sit. I mean, as much as I love him to death, I can't sit and listen to Chris's show.
I got you. You miss out then, bro. No, I'm.
I know I do.
No. Well, he asked her about what can we do and what do you do and how do you talk to your representatives? And she said, of course I do. That lady, she should run for office. I'm sure she's got better things to do. Just like you. You would make a good politician, even though you wouldn't be a good politician. You'd just be a good representative. But she said that she'd tried. She'd been to meetings and she'd been to things where they were and waited on them, and they skipped the room on her. And, I'm just going over it real lightly, but basically they ignore her. And that nothing makes me madder. I even think she said Senator Blackburn did the same. I don't want to cast, disparagement on her, but I do. If you ignore a citizen, then you can kiss my rear.
Well, I mean, obviously, I agree with you there, Brian. I'm just what, if anything, did Sarah indicate that she wants someone like Ogles or Desjardins specifically to do?
Yeah, the most basic thing was, she mentioned several things, but the most basic was write a letter on my husband and those people's behalf. Do something for them. Call them. Do something. Get them people out of jail.
Well, I mean, you can't. A congressman. I'm not trying to argue with you. Let's just talk. I mean, a congressman can't just get people out of jail. That's not the way the system works. But
I know.
I mean, it's not like Andy Ogles or Scott Desjardins or Matt Murphy or anybody could just say, "Hey, we think this is wrong. We just need to get them out of jail." I mean, that's not the way it works.
I understand that.
It surprises me if Andy wouldn't be responsive, because I think Andy has been quite responsive on behalf of Stuart Parks. I don't know if you know who Stuart Parks is. He's another January 6th defendant that was imprisoned unjustly, in my opinion, as Sarah's husband was. And I know that Ogles and some of his congressional colleagues requested a transfer at least, not a release at best, but a transfer at least for Stewart. So it surprises me if he wasn't responsive to Sarah in some form or fashion. But I'll take her at her word, yeah.
Yeah, she mentioned them specifically, and it just like with you, it makes me, I get mad about it. I don't understand why, if I can help you, why I won't help you. I'm not going to step over some guy beating the crap out of an old woman in a parking lot. I'm not going to do that. And I think those guys at the least can give her an ear, or say, look, I can't talk to you right now, but can you call me? Give them their personal, you know how it is.
No, I do.
Trump's that way. And she says she hasn't talked to Trump, but I think she's talked to the guy that used to be the Border Patrol, Homan, and she's talked to another higher up, but she'd love to talk to Trump. And I hope he's not running from her. She's very articulate, very smart, and of course she's very passionate. And she speaks for me, and I appreciate that lady. And I won't keep you on forever. I'll let you go and let you talk, but boy, I was hot. And I thought, that's two guys you talk to fairly regularly, so let them know.
No, absolutely. And I would hope that they would be responsive to her needs, her desires. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I understand her frustration. I do not believe that there is, I mean, obviously there are things that they can do. They can be an ear for her. One would expect that, just to give their time. And I'm at a loss because I've not heard the conversation that we're reflecting on. And I did not engage in it. I spoke with Sarah. I had her on my show some months ago. I believe Chris has had her on in the past as well. I feel for her. Obviously, sadly, whatever happened on January 6th at the Capitol has been so ambitiously and unjustly and ridiculously and disgustingly politicized that it is an egregious miscarriage of justice altogether. And I believe that I cannot name you an individual that has not, at this point, suffered enough involved in that situation. And what I mean by that is, whatever law-breaking took place, at the time I said, and I'm not talking about Sarah's situation individually or her husband individually, I'm just talking broadly for a second, that whatever law-breaking, whatever misdemeanors happened on that day, the people that committed them have suffered enough. Have suffered enough. People do not need to be in jail over this anymore. They don't. And they're only in jail because they are being used as political pawns by the Biden Justice Department and by the deep state in order to make a point. 9978, I'm going to need more than that. I need to know why I'm a rhino. Well, am I a rhino? Why am I a rhino?
Because you're just a weak Republican.
I don't understand what I've done. Hey, 9978, you're going to need to show me on the doll where I hurt you so that we can help you psychologically. 615-737-9986. Members Nutrition Super Text line is up and running. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, friends, Kraft Body Scan wants to talk with you. I know that you don't want to think about the possibility that something might be going on in your body and you're unaware of it, but something might be going on in your body and you're unaware of it. Do you want to be aware of it or not? I mean, we come to a certain age where you need to find out what's happening inside the body, and it is always better to find out before you feel it, because if you let it go by the time you feel it, maybe it's gone on too long. God forbid. Well, at Kraft Body Scan, it's exactly what they do. Typically, they find nothing when they do a heart and lung scan, and you get peace of mind. You walk away with the knowledge of what is going on inside of your body. But if they do find something, they find it early enough where you can take care of it without risk, without that added risk of time. They check under the hood. You check under the hood with your vehicle. Why wouldn't you check in the hood when it comes to your body? And you do that with Kraft Body Scan. A CT scan is available for $149. What an incredible value. Normally, it's about $1,300 plus. And you bring a loved one, and they'll do both. Both scans for $149. Private health consultation involved, reviewed by their board-certified radiologist. Kraft with a C, craftbodyscan.com. That's craftbodyscan.com or 615-436-1000. 615-436-1000 for Kraft Body Scan.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Senate lawmakers have been sworn in to take up articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over his handling of the migrant crisis. House managers delivered the articles of impeachment to the Senate yesterday. Now it looks like it may go nowhere fast.
Republicans want to hold a full trial, but top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer says no way.
To validate this gross abuse by the House would be a grave mistake.
Republicans argue Alejandro Mayorkas has failed to enforce the immigration laws, but Democrats dispute that and say he's committed no crime. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
In Arizona, state Democrats trying again to repeal the Civil War-era abortion law that the state Supreme Court ruled could be enforced earlier this month. The 1864 law bans nearly all abortions. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze says Democrats will need the help of Republicans in the state to get it repealed.
Arizona is one of 21 states to forbid or severely restrict access to an abortion since the end of Roe v. Wade. The issue will likely be put directly to voters in November. Arizona is among up to 14 states expected to include an abortion measure on the ballot, and we are told that activists on both sides of the debate will hold rallies here today.
Israel's prime minister and his war cabinet have not decided yet how to respond to the Iranian drone and missile attack last weekend. The U.S. is urging restraint, so is European allies, meeting with Israel's leader today.
The foreign ministers of the U.K. and Germany here in Jerusalem urging Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to show restraint in his response to Iran's first ever direct strike on Israel. Israeli leaders making it clear they will act against Iran, but the target and timing still under discussion. Jordana Miller, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Israel Defense Forces say Iranian proxy Hezbollah carried out an attack in northern Israel today, injuring 14 IDF soldiers and 4 others. You're listening to ABC News.
The financial landscape can get very confusing during an election year. Should you be looking to buy or sell? How should you expect the market to behave? Well, I have an answer for you, and it's in the form of Paul Winkler. Paul Winkler will cut through the noise. He dives deep. He offers an education to you and 10 separate offices to sit down with one of his qualified representatives and talk with you about your future and your investments. It's what it's all about. That education is so important to Paul. As a matter of fact, he has educated me on so many things because not only am I a spokesperson, I'm also a client. Now, I am obligated to tell you that I'm paid to be a spokesperson. Paul asks that I do that because he wants to check every box of fiduciary responsibility, and he does consider that responsibility his top priority, and he will when he sits down with you as well. I encourage you to go to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com to find out more about what Paul has to offer in the investment field. paulwinkler.com. I strongly recommend Paul Winkler. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Hour number 2 starts right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Actually, the top of the hour started about 6 minutes ago. It's 1:06. Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you're well. Yesterday, there was a discussion. There was a hearing regarding the Covenant School Manifesto. I'm just so confused about what they're so afraid that we will see within that manifesto. What do they think we can't see within that manifesto? We shall discuss this hour on the show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll also take your calls, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. You can either call us or you can super text us on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. Joe Biden is making no sense. I can't even make this stuff up. I'm just going to, okay. This guy's running for president of the United States. This guy right here.
Ambrose Finnegan, they called him Uncle Bozy. He was shot down. He was in the Army Air Corps before there was an Air Force. He flew single-engine planes, reconnaissance flights over New Guinea. He had volunteered because someone couldn't make it. He got shot down in an area where there were a lot of cannibals.
Okay, can you hear what he's saying? Is it? Can you? Because I know I'm looking at his mouth, and
he first off, you can tell when he's lying or exaggerating because he adds all these details that aren't necessary to the story. But apparently, this guy gets shot down over
his grandfather. He's talking about his grandfather.
Oh, he crashes onto an island with cannibals?
With cannibals.
So he crashed into Congress?
And nobody knows why he's telling the story.
Single-engine planes, reconnaissance flights over New Guinea. He had volunteered because someone couldn't make it. He got shot down in an area where there were a lot of cannibals in New Guinea at the time. They never recovered his body, but the government went back when I went down there and they checked and found some parts of the plane and the like.
What? Is he insinuating that his grandfather was eaten by cannibals?
Well, it was at least an appetizer, if not the entree.
I mean,
they never recovered his body.
They never recovered his body, he said there. They never recovered his body.
Well, look, Matt, this is a commonly misunderstood thing. If any kind of an occurrence happens and there's no body to be had after the fact, cannibals every time.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
There were a lot of cannibals in New Guinea at the time. They never recovered his body, but the government went back when I went down there and they checked and found some parts of the...
Did he say I went down there?
Yes, he did. And I don't know if you know this, and maybe some people are going to accuse me of having a tinfoil hat on when I say this, but Indonesian flight 370, cannibals.
But the government went back when I went down there and they checked and found some parts of the plane and the like. And what I was thinking about when I was standing there was when Trump refused to go up to the memorial for veterans in Paris, and he said they're a bunch of suckers and losers.
Okay, so Joe Biden regurgitates the lie, the debunked lie, that Donald Trump called our service members suckers and losers. Yeah, well, you just said that. So he says when he thinks about that, he thinks about his grandfather that was shot down and eaten by cannibals. Okay. And then he says this and shuffles away.
Mr. President, what do you think about these separate bills for Ukraine and Israel aid? Are you confident that it's going to get through?
I'm getting briefed on it when I get on the plane. That's why I was talking to my staff. I'll tell you that.
Thanks, everybody.
Listen to the Trump trial.
Shuffling away. So he can relate the story about how his grandfather was eaten by cannibals, but he can't comment on separate bills for Israel and Ukrainian aid. There you go. There's Joe Biden regurgitating lies and making things up as our country faces so many different challenges across the United States of America and beyond. 615-737-9986. I don't know. You just have to laugh to keep from crying. Ernie is next up in Cottontown. Hello, Ernie. How are you?
Good afternoon, Matt. I've talked to you before. I'm the old veteran, Vietnam veteran, the 4 million mile trucker.
God bless you.
Going here.
I remember you.
I'm sitting here in the VA parking lot, but I got about 20 minutes before I go in there and they're going to check my eyes. They take pretty good care of me. I'm a little concerned about these illegals that I keep hearing about on the news, that they're going to have to start taking care of them. I don't know. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. But you was talking about Donald Trump. You explained to me what kind of guy he was, and I've been wondering, thinking about him. And I think you just hit the nail right on the head. I wouldn't want to live next door to Donald Trump. I'd be mowing my grass, and he'd probably tell me I needed to go the other direction. It'll look better. But he's a businessman. He knows how to run a business in a country. It's a disaster. Can you imagine what the people in China and Russia sitting back at a table listening to Joe Biden and just dying laughing there, saying, now's the time to make the move. We've always had respect. When I was overseas, they respected the military. Now it's went downhill, man. I'm really concerned about it.
Well, I mean, obviously, when you have a commander-in-chief that clearly doesn't know what day it is, much less could not make a decision regarding our United States military, that's going to cause issues around the globe. Secondarily, if our country's enemies, and this is just one guy's assessment, I don't claim to be a military expert, but I've been around the block a time or two. Ernie, if our nation's enemies recognize exactly how the president is going to react in any given situation, and they feel like they can take advantage of that, they're going to.
Sure they are. Oh, I got a call yesterday from Marsha Blackburn's office, and I took a poll. And I thought, how the hell did they get my phone number? And I said, that Matt Murphy must have given my phone number. I talked to him before. Just pure harassment. But, hey, I like Marsha Blackburn. I like Ogles. They're just one person. They ain't got but 24 hours in a day. They can't. And they got to sleep 6 or 7 hours to keep their head on straight. But I agree with the lady that Maccabee, yes, I understand. But all you can do is blow their phones up and cover them up with mail, and maybe they'll probably be about ready to get out of jail for it's an atrocity. It's all political. We ain't supposed to have that in this country, but we're there.
There are, and I know it ticks people off for me to say this, but I'm compelled to do so. And Ernie, you keep it held down in Cotton. I was in Cottontown, gosh, about a week ago, and that is God's country up there, man.
Oh yeah. I live north of Cottontown. It's a great big area. I live up by Red River.
Mm-hmm.
I live too close to the Kentucky border where the racetrack's at, Matt. I live too close.
That'll get you into trouble, Mr. Ernie.
It does every once in a while. Yes, it does. I love your program.
Thank you,
You're
man.
a great guy. Maybe I'll get to meet you one day.
I would love it. Absolutely love it. Thanks a lot for the telephone call, Ernie. I do appreciate you. Cottontown's beautiful area. Beautiful area. Unspoiled, like so many areas around Metro Nashville with, I mean, I don't begrudge development, but a little too much is too much, and Cottontown is unspoiled, and you folks up there know exactly what I'm talking about. With regard to January 6th, January 6th was a protest that got out of hand. I believe that that is a fair assessment. It got out of hand for a number of reasons. I could point to any number of ways that it got out of hand, to include my belief that there were individuals embedded within the crowd in order to promote it getting out of hand. I believe that. Whether those individuals worked for the government or for Antifa or whatever, sadly, we probably will never know, because entities within the government don't want us to know. But whatever the reason and whatever the motivations, there were some that allowed their emotions to get the better of them, and they committed, acts of protest that rose to the level of arrest. For the vast majority, and I mean vast majority, of individuals that eventually made their way into the Capitol, their punishment merited, a fine, unlawful assembly, unlawful entry. Sadly, political operatives on the left saw an advantageous opportunity, and they took advantage of it. They never had any interest of getting to the bottom of what really happened. They never had any interest to truly find out why Ray Epps was what he was and said what he said. They never had any interest to figure out who some of these operatives were that had embedded themselves inside of the crowd. They never seemed to have any desire to find out who planted the bombs at the DNC, or the some say fake bombs at the DNC. I mean, that person's still on the loose. Who's that person? Never had any desire to do that, because perhaps they would have been exposed in some of their subterfuge. In the aftermath of all of this, sadly, good people, patriotic people, have been caught up in this to the point, and it has been politicized to the point that they are serving sentences that are totally and completely unjust. I don't know how much people like Marsha Blackburn can do about it. I don't know how much people like Andy Ogles or Scott Desjardins or any of our other representatives can do about it, except to speak loudly in a voice and a platform, on a platform and with a voice that they do have, in order to point out what I have just pointed out. That absent one or two exceptions, and I understand that there were exceptions of acts of violence against some of the Capitol Police officers, and obviously we make exceptions for those acts of violence. Other than that, what's happening to the people from January 6th is egregious. It's political. And the best way to respond to it is voting for Donald Trump. The best way to respond to it long term is to see Donald Trump back in the White House. And I think a lot of these sad political shenanigans will be repaired. Troy, thank you. Troy's in Winchester. Hey, Troy.
Matt, love your show.
Thank
Listen
you.
to you every day.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. I want to talk about how the government are cannibals and eating our children. First off, what do you call a bull behind the barn with his eyes closed?
What do you call a bull behind the barn with his eyes closed? I don't know.
Bulldozer.
That's awful.
I think it's good that our governor wants to give us tax credits, but for our kids. But our kids are not numbers, are not dollar signs. The government should not have our money to be giving us tax credits for our children, which are human beings, a la abortion. Comment.
Wait, no. Say that again. I missed a portion of this. Say that again.
The government is cannibals, and they treat our kids as dollar signs. They don't treat them as human beings. That's why abortion has been going on so much, because they don't think of kids as being humans. The government should not be giving us money that they don't have. Technically, they should not be taxing us for money to give us back money for what we should have our own responsibility of taking care of our own kids.
Well, I mean, I would agree with you that if we were not burdened with the level of taxation that we currently have, that we would have more expendable income to take care of ourselves in a manner of our own choosing. Sure. As far as the government looking at human beings in the way that they do, I agree that many within the government look at human beings as subjects as opposed to as the boss. I mean, ultimately, and thank you for your call, Troy, ultimately, we should be the boss. I mean, what was it that George Carlin talked about, the illusion of choice? I'm beginning to fall into that theory more and more when I watch some of the blah, blah, blah Republicans in Washington, D.C. And that's what they do. They blah, blah, blah. I mean, look at FISA. They reauthorized FISA. They reauthorized the ability of the United States government to spy on American citizens without a warrant. And they can tell me all they want that it won't happen very often. They can tell me all they want that, oh, you have to have some connective tissue to a foreign national in order for that spying to happen. All they want, you can tell me that. And it's still Bravo Sierra. And there they are, all of these blah, blah, blah Republicans, blah, blah, blahing about national security, and to hell with individual liberty and individual freedom. So, yes, they look at the American citizenry as subjects to be manipulated. Sad to say, but true. 23 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to tell you about a brand new sponsor to the Matt Murphy Show. I'm so proud to have them on board. It is U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest Protection helps you get protected within your home from pests, from termites, and any other creepy crawlies that might be slinking around your house. They offer residential and commercial protection as well as termite protection, and I want you to go to their website or make a call today for your free pest inspection. They offer bi-monthly general pest control. They offer quarterly maintenance and pest control. They offer rodent control, mosquito management, tick management, all available to you from one source, U.S. Pest. The friends at U.S. Pest, J.K. and Erica, they built this company from the ground up. They've owned it. It's locally owned and operated. That's very important to me, and they are believers in the United States of America. They are a part of the American dream. But that is a side note to the fact that they get down to business when they come to your house and they solve your problem when it comes to your pest. So whether it's pest control or termite protection needs, whether it's residential or commercial, there's only one, U.S. Pest. USPest.com. That's USPest.com, or give a call today at 615-590-1260. 590-1260 to our friends at U.S. Pest. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Man, oh man, it's been a day already. And we're just halfway home. Almost halfway home. 128 on Super Talk 99.7, episode 554 in progress. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to be a part of the show. 615-737-9986. Either the Members Nutrition Super Text line is up and running, phone line's up and running as well. Cameron Smith will be along, the trader, turncoat. Cameron Smith will be here in the 2 o'clock hour. At least I assume he will. Maybe he's all tuckered out from his conversation this morning with Dan Mandis of Nashville's. Well, that's true. I mean, I guess Mandis got to the finish line first, I suppose. Anyway, 615-737-9986. By the way, President Biden, someone sent me this on the Super Text line. He said last year, he was talking about his grandpa getting eaten by cannibals. I mean, is that not what he said? Is that not what he said?
It sounded like it to me.
He said his grandpa crashed his plane in New Guinea. There were cannibals. Never found his body. Found the plane. So
found a lot of toothpicks and a couple of forks.
Some of those little party pickles, olives.
And for some weird reason, there are cocktail weenies left over.
That's right. There's an entire charcuterie board untouched. But his grandpa, all gone. Good eating. It was that Biden, some good eating. Anyway, he claimed, so in his first public speech following his announcement that he would seek re-election last year, it contained this, he said that his grandfather, quote, died in the same hospital I was born 2 weeks before I was born. This as he addressed the North American Building Trades Union Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. The president appeared to be referencing his father's father, Joseph H. Biden, an oil executive who died on September 26th, 1941 in Baltimore's Johns Hopkins Hospital. Joseph R. Biden Jr. was born more than a year later in Scranton, Pennsylvania, at St. Mary's. The president's maternal grandfather, Ambrose Joseph Finnegan, did die at St. Mary's, but not until 1957, when the future politician was a teenager. So who the hell is this third grandpa?
Well, Matt, you got 3 sets of grandparents. Don't you understand that?
No, I mean, seriously. So apparently, according to the New York Post, the president's maternal grandfather, Ambrose Joseph Finnegan, died in Scranton, Pennsylvania in 1957. His father's father, his paternal grandfather, died on September 26, 1941 in Baltimore's Johns Hopkins Hospital. Well, who's this third guy that died overseas in the island of New Guinea after crash landing and subsequently being eaten by cannibals?
Well, maybe he crash landed by the hospital and there were cannibals around the hospital.
Well, I mean, that's a good point, maybe, I suppose.
Hey, the easiest explanation is usually the true one.
Well, no, the convoluted go around your butt to get back to your nose explanation. I mean, what's fascinating more than Joe Biden's inability to remember and his propensity for lying is the inability of the mainstream media to call him out on it. Will no one bring this fact up that he just for no reason makes stories up and lies about things? I suppose we can bring it up. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, the president's a liar, but you probably already knew that.
As Paul Stanley once said to Gene Simmons, is the truth just not good enough for you?
Suppose it's not. I mean, there's Joe making it up as he goes along. 615-737-9986, 132 on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Let's talk about your food game. I love saying that, right? Because when it comes to food, when we're young, when we're, in our teenage years or our 20s, we just eat about anything that comes in front of us. And at some point, we try to up our food game. And I would suggest to you that one of the ways that you can do that is going out to Savory Spice and seeing the incredible spices and the flavors that they have available to you at Savory Spice. You up your food game by upping your spice game. And you up your spice game at Savory Spice. 2 locations to serve you. One is at L&L Market in Nashville, just off of Charlotte Pike. The other's off the square in Franklin, just next to Grace Pharmacy. When you walk in, you'll smell it, right? You smell the incredible pepper and the different spices, and you smell just the various flavors from around the globe. And here in the United States of America, you smell some of the blends that they specially prepare for you, whether it's, taco seasoning or maybe an Indian cuisine blend or whatever it might be. They've got it for you at Savory Spice. They have something for every palate at Savory Spice. Plus, great gift opportunities at Savory Spice, too. If you know someone who loves their way around the kitchen, likes to move around the kitchen, you owe it to them, if they have a special day coming up, to get out to Savory Spice and see what you can find for them. You can go online, of course, always. Savory Spice has a website available, but I encourage you to stop by. You can't You can't feel it. You can't understand it until you smell it. You smell it at Savory Spice. Up that food game, upping that spice game up. The spice game at Savory Spice. So did that NPR guy quit? By the way, it's Matt Murphy and the
guy
Matt
that got
Murphy show.
suspended?
Yeah. I think he quit. Would you fact check me on that? I think I just saw something come across my X machine that the dude quit. If you've not been following the story, and I've not talked about it yet on the show, but this story is quite something. NPR has suspended a veteran editor by the name of Yuri Berliner, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly or not, but that's the way it's spelled. I guess I could say Yuri Googly Moogly. Yuri Berliner detailed his employer's absence of viewpoint diversity last week in a rebuke of the news organization. In response, NPR suspended him for 1 week without pay. And I'm getting Bell to fact check this, but I think Yuri Berliner is announcing that he quit. Berliner penned a bombshell piece in the Free Press that criticized NPR's coverage. This is fascinating. So NPR claims to be a believer in freedom of speech and freedom of the press, and they suspended him because they said that he did not receive permission to publish the article in an outside agency, despite the fact that Berliner claims that he's addressed these issues multiple times with multiple people within the organization.
The New York Post, in an article dated today at noon, says that he has resigned.
Good for him.
After his expose.
Good for him. So, Yuri Berliner offers what is essentially a whistleblower piece. He's been with NPR for 25 years. This is liberal on liberal violence, and I'm here for it. I'm here for the show. Let's pop the popcorn and watch it. Okay? Because Yuri Berliner is a truth teller and probably left of center. But at the same time, even those left of center, I would put Bill Maher in this category too. Did you see what Bill Maher said about the Death to America chants? I might play that for you a little bit later on. That we have passed a moment in time. This is, what is the old phrase? The passing the Rubicon, crossing the Rubicon. There was a time when overseas, these foreign countries would be filled with individuals and they would chant death to America and they would burn the American flag over there. They're now doing it over here. This is not your mama and daddy's leftist party. This is not a difference in political positions and a love of country. This is a hatred of the United States of America, and the Biden administration is importing that hatred. Are we as Americans prepared to sit by and allow that to happen, or are we going to stand up and fight and do something about it? There's nothing wrong with saying the word fight. There's nothing wrong with saying that we need to do something about it. Both of those things are so. Death to America. Well, Maher had a few things to say about that as a leftist. Well, Yuri Berliner had a few things to say about NPR and how they have altered their approach over the last several years. Donald Trump, you can use Donald Trump as a singular example of how the left has broken. How hard is it to say that you believe in this country? No one is suggesting that this country has not had its faults, its missteps. Some major, slavery. Some minor. But my goodness, we're the best thing going. Are we not? How difficult is that for a leftist to say? Apparently pretty difficult. And apparently the Biden administration is now allowing the lunatics to run the asylum. He is altering policy regarding the United States' position on Israel because he's desperate for Muslim votes. That is a fact. It's happening. Donald Trump is right. How afraid are we to hear the truth in as much as Trump says what is so regarding the Jewish people of the United States of America, and the mainstream media networks just, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. What did he say? He said, if you are Jewish and you vote for Joe Biden, you're crazy. Aren't you? Aren't you? Joe Biden chose to turn his back. Now, the Iranians gave Joe a gift because he can take some credit for the Israelis preventing much or virtually all of the various drones and missiles and whatnot that the Iranians sent over. And America was there. Our military was there to help support it. And Joe gets to hang that on his hat. But he was in the midst of abandoning Israel. The United States of America did not veto a call for ceasefire. Why? Because Joe Biden is worried about Muslim votes in Michigan. That's why. That's why. And so when I see this issue involving NPR and their veteran editor, Yuri Berliner, who says, we have lost our way when we choose to ignore certain stories because of the nature of the narrative, and we choose to highlight and alter certain stories to highlight certain narratives, that is wrong. It is one thing to have certain editorial positions on these issues. It's another to alter the facts to fit our own narratives. Facts and opinions are two different things, folks. I don't understand why it's so difficult to understand that. Oh, in the meantime, Traitor Cameron Smith says he's on his way. He's going to be running a few minutes late.
We going to let him in?
I guess. We're going to let him in so I can yell at him.
Oh, okay.
That'll be fun. I will not yell at this next guest. He is the head of the Davidson County GOP. And yes, it is a robust GOP, GOPNashville.org. Lonnie Spivak joins us on the show talking about an event that's happening this weekend that I might be stopping by. Hey, Lonnie, how are you?
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me this afternoon.
Oh, man, it's always a pleasure. You know, I'm excited that you and the Davidson County GOP will be out at the Glock store this Saturday. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, this is our second annual Shooting Stars event, and you'll have the ability to do any number of experiences that they have there at the Glock store. They have the low light experience, the multi-engagement. You even have an opportunity to maybe shoot a fully automatic machine gun. And there's also a chance to win a G43X Glock pistol for everybody who purchases a ticket and attends the event.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And we need folks to come on out and show your support. And here's what I want to see. I want to see how many people that we can get who proudly declare themselves as Republicans from Davidson County to pack the Glock store. I want to know how many we can get out. It's one of the reasons that I'm planning on coming out for a little bit at 6 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, evening, because I want to see how many Republicans we truly have in Davidson County. Right, Lonnie?
Yep, it's this Saturday, April 20th. The doors open at 5:30 p.m. We'll kick off at 6. There's a mandatory safety training that the Glock store will do for everybody. You don't have to bring any ammo. You don't have to bring your own weapon. Everything will be provided for you. It's going to be a wonderful time. You'll get to meet a lot of like-minded people and, fire some shots downrange, which will always be fun.
Absolutely love it. And folks can find out more info at GOPNashville.org. Is that correct? And you just click on the Shooting Stars tab right at the top of the page?
Yep, GOPNashville.org. Just click on Shooting Stars. Tickets start at $50. It's a non-shooting ticket. If you want to take part in the activities, it's $100 for 2 of the 3 activities. And just so people know, the money that we raise at this event will help us fund Republican candidates in Davidson County this next election cycle. And we have more Republican candidates on the ballot this time than we've had in at least 20 years. There's a lot of happening here in Davidson County, and I'm happy to see the party continue to grow.
Well, I'm proud to be a part of the organization, if not a quote-unquote registered member. I'm just proud to see how hard you're working to build the voice for Republicans in Davidson County. There's so many Republicans in Davidson County that feel, and I'm not casting aspersions about how things were managed or handled before you, Lonnie, but I know that you're not just sitting on your laurels and accepting that Davidson County is a blue dot in a red state. You know how many red folks are in Davidson County, and you know how important they are to the future of our community and our state, and I appreciate that from you.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to have a lot of close races, a couple of state house races, a state senate race. We'll have school board candidates. I mean, there'll be a lot happening as we go into August and November this year.
Well, if you're interested in getting involved, you just go over to GOPNashville.org. That's GOPNashville.org. You can check out the entire website, and while you're there, click on the Shooting Stars event, find out more about what's happening this Saturday, and come out and say hello to Lonnie Spivak. I'll be there, too, as security, but Lonnie, more importantly, will be there on Saturday evening.
Well, thanks so much, Matt.
Yeah,
I look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
It'll be a lot of fun. Thanks, Lonnie. There's Lonnie Spivak with the Davidson County GOP joining us for a few minutes to tell us about this great event. I'm excited about it. It is at one of my favorite places in Nashville, the Glock store on Airlane Drive. That's 1930 Airlane Drive. It'll be a fun evening. You can network. You can shoot if you like. Come out and see me and support the Davidson County Republican Party. It's the world-famous Glock store. 149 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So are you losing some hair? Are you worried about it? Can I tell you something that might help you out? Can I tell you something that might assist you in your concern? It's We Grow Hair. It's PAI Medical. Friends, It's Matt Murphy. Did you know you can lose up to 50% of your hair before you notice it? You know, my hair started thinning out just a little bit on the top, on the crown, and I didn't like that at all. And so I went over to We Grow Hair. Oh, the people are so good. Alex is right at the front desk. Katie is behind him. The staff is wonderful, and they understand their goal. And their goal is to keep your hair or to replace it to get it back to where you wanted it to be. Hair restoration is what they do. They have almost 30 years of experience exclusively in the arena of hair restoration. So you can restore your hair right now by calling 615-376-6010. I'm getting the FDA-approved laser treatments. That creates a thicker, fuller hairline. It prevents further hair loss, whether you're just beginning to lose your hair or you're losing your hair for a while. We Grow Hair can help you with their ARTIS robotic FUE hair transplant procedure. Results are guaranteed. You heard me correctly, guaranteed. So call today at 615-376-6010. Schedule an appointment, 376-6010, or wegrowhair.com. That's wegrowhair.com. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up at the top of the hour, news from Mac Morey back in the news closet. We'll cover headlines for you right now. The impeachment trial is underway for Alejandro Mayorkas. I didn't do it because people are complaining about it, and so I'm not going to do it. I'm not. You don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get the Alejandro Mayorkas anymore. He is being impeached for his inability to do anything about the southern border crisis. As a matter of fact, it's not just incompetency. It is an active engagement to break the law. Sadly, Alejandro Mayorkas doesn't see it this way. As a matter of fact, he was on CBS this morning, and this is what Alejandro...
Your beverage, sir.
There you go. Bel K offering me doing. Yeah, that's good. You like that? And he said that, you know what he also said, McMorris?
What did he say?
He said that he'd pick up my dry cleaning.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 5-star producer right there.
Trying to ensure a little job security.
He said that not only did he bring me a delicious Mountain Dew Zero from... Actually, what happened, let me just make sure that everyone knows what really happened.
Yeah, what is going on?
I asked Belle if I had time to go get a soda. And Belle said, no, but I'll get it for you. And I said, no, you don't have to do that. I'll do that during Max News. And he goes, no, it's fine. What are you having? And I said, well, while you're going, will you pick up my dry cleaning? And he said, no. And then he said, well, yeah, I'll pick up your dry cleaning.
If I have dry cleaning at the same place.
To which I said, why would you dry clean T-shirts? I don't understand.
Because you want them nice and pressed.
Come on, man. They're of his cats. They got to stay nice.
You ever, Belle, I do this with the dogs, so I'm not casting aspersions. You ever, come to work with, an overshirt on or a sweater or something that, you can wear multiple times without washing it, and then look down and realize, oh, jeez.
God, yes.
I mean, I do it all the time with Miss Beasley.
I have gotten to the point where I can't, when I dry my clothes, I can't just leave them in the stand-up hamper. They have to be put away immediately because if I don't do that, one of them's going to jump into the hamper to lay on the warm clothes.
What does do you ever have any scales or the skin from from the cobra left behind or what?
Not too often.
I mean how
it's
often
usually,
does
it's once every 3 months.
What's her name again?
Spicy.
Emotional support cobra. I still don't understand how they coexist.
Well, you don't need to.
Okay, I mean, I don't know how you do that.
They as long as you keep her fed, she's
Wait, is this real? You don't have a cobra.
Oh,
hush.
Mac. Come on, buddy. Of course he does. Would we lie to the audience about something like this?
Why would I have gotten up in Sapicki's face the way I did?
He got up in his face.
Oh, he knows he's got a cobra.
So when they banned emotional sport animals from restaurants, Bell was all about it.
Yeah, because Sapicki said he voted for it, and I wasn't having it.
It's like the guy who tried to rob that gas station the other day with a snake. That happened.
What?
No pistol, no knife.
What is happening? Oh, I don't understand the people that give the people money. There's a social contract.
No, there's not.
There is. By God, there is. You come in to rob a bank, fine. You're a robber, and I'm the thing. You got to show me a weapon. That's the social contract. You just can't tell me to give you money, and I give you money. And you can't pull out a snake out of your pants. Hello.
Want to bet?
Hello. Well, you could earn some money with that thing.
Oh,
it's 2 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for news.
Two o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Currently 83 degrees in Nashville. Got a weather forecast coming up in just about 2 minutes. After hours negotiation overnight, House Speaker Mike Johnson released details of his foreign aid package. The question remains whether Johnson can hold out if hardliners then move to remove him from his post. Im Nguyen has more from Washington.
Today, Speaker Mike Johnson released a detailed 3-bill outline to provide aid to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. Provisions include some of the assistance conditioned as a loan. But this proposal represents a major test for Johnson, as Republican hardliners who either disagree with Ukraine aid or with separating border security from foreign aid have threatened to oust him from his speakership post. But the speaker has remained defiant.
I am not resigning, and it is, in my view, an absurd notion that someone would bring a vacate motion when we are simply here trying to do our jobs.
And staying in the nation's capital, an impeachment trial currently underway for Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer hoping to wrap it all up today with a vote to dismiss the charges against Mayorkas. We'll keep you updated with that right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And the former police chief of the Laverne Police Department fired over a sex scandal, now suing the city for reinstatement to his position and back pay. Burrell Chip Davis says other white supervisors were not disciplined after being accused of knowing about but not stopping 5 officers having sex on and off duty with each other. And that's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Evan Bass started Tennessee Men's Clinic some 10 plus years ago in Midtown Nashville for the reason, well, the primary reason was simple. There was not a men's-only healthcare facility designed to help men with men's-only issues. Primarily, they deal with urological issues, but they also deal with certain aspects of bedroom activity and energy levels that you don't find in other places. And they are focused on you, gentlemen. Now, if you're a lady and you notice that your man has lost a little energy in his life, maybe that manifests itself in the bedroom. Maybe it's all about yard work, or maybe it's going to the gym and just not feeling it. If you don't feel it like you used to, don't just say, well, that's the way it goes, Matt. I'm a little older and that's how it goes. It could be something within your body that they can identify, whether it's T levels or other things that can be addressed at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Find out if they have a plan for you. They have a variety of different programs available for you, and they can help. TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Or make a call that so many other men have made. The one complaint that I hear more often than any other is I should have called a year ago. I should have called 2 years ago. Don't be that guy. Call 615-208-9090 and schedule appointments today. 615-208-9090. That's the correct telephone number for Tennessee Men's Clinic.
That was all on camera.
This is Matt Murphy, and I made a horrible mistake.
That was all on camera.
I made a horrible error.
Weber and I were just...
I don't know why. Why doesn't Bell K and Mac Murray describe what Matt Murphy just did while I try to swallow?
He still needs cover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you were eating something and you went to wash it down with your Diet Mountain Dew.
Awful.
And now he's taking another swig.
And he had the vigorous eating eyes, looking into nothingness, chewing with an intent.
I don't know. And here's the stupidity of it all. I'm listening to the legal ID at the top of the hour.
Yep.
I hear the show open, and I take this bite of my protein bar.
This is the perfect time for this activity.
As I put it in my mouth, I'm like, oh, I don't think I have the time for
I
that.
need to actually do my job.
One thing you can't do is stuff your face full of food, Murphy. And there I go. By the way, I'm glad you're here, Mac Murray. We need to discuss something.
Okay, perfect.
When would you like to do Friday Mac Attack?
Yeah, I was just talking about this with Weber because I had forgotten that you're going to be filling in.
I'm in for Wilson, and so I think when the proverbial cat's away, the mice can play. And while Bell K might not like this, my suggestion...
That is not... No, you cannot leave me out.
You can stick around. Stick around. We can do a 4-way draft with Weber and Bell and Mac Murray and Matt Murphy.
That's actually true because you're here for a little bit anyways.
I mean,
we can do it early on in the show.
We can do it early on.
Yeah,
that's 3:30 or 4 o'clock.
I'll just go home and call in.
Okay.
Bell realized that we had painted him into a corner, and now he's obligated to stay late, which he doesn't prefer doing on a Friday. Crap.
I might call in.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am in for Brian tomorrow and Friday. Brian is off those 2 days. Tomorrow, Jennifer Sheets is in for me. She's heard on the weekends on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Correct.
And I understand that she does a great job on the weekends. I've never caught her show, but she'll be in between noon and 3. I'll be in between 3 and 7 on the drive. And then Friday, Cameron Smith, who is currently running late, Daypart Trader.
There you go. I was waiting for the correct.
Is coming up, and we're going to give him the business on that. So yesterday I referred to Dallas wants to know if I was drinking I was not drinking a ski and eating a moon pie. What is that from? What is that from? Dallas. That is a dated reference lost on the host of this radio show, but I feel like I should know it. Drinking a ski, eating a moon pie. I know that. I know that reference. One way or the other, it was not a ski. It was a protein bar, and it's not a moon pie, or it's a protein bar and a Mountain Dew, which you'll have to do, I suppose. I've referred to it as the Lazarus Bill, inasmuch as I was told, been told on multiple occasions that it is dead. It is commonly referred to as the school choice legislation, also known as the education scholarship. And I'm being told by many individuals in the know that it is not dead yet, that it has been declared dead on multiple occasions, but there is a lot going on surrounding a committee vote in the House of Representatives. The committee vote has not happened yet, but there is a lot going on in this bill today. It involves Jeremy Faison. It involves other Republicans on said committee. They're trying to switch votes. They're trying to see what they can do to get everyone on the same page. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. Suffice it to say, a lot of eyeballs on that issue. Education scholarship on life support, but no one's pulled the plug quite yet on it, and we'll keep you up to date. Kentucky headhunters, that's right. Kentucky that's is that Dumas Walker? Let's all go down to Dumas Walker. Let's all go eating a moon pie and drinking a ski. I think that's right. Kentucky headhunters. Oh, yeah, now I'm looking at all of the super text. All of you membersnutrition.com super texters, come on, baby. That's good stuff. And I knew it. I knew it was somewhere in there. All right, let's talk a little more serious matter with the Covenant School. Yesterday, there was a hearing held regarding the release of the quote-unquote Covenant School Manifesto. I say quote-unquote only because I don't want to give these writings of this obviously mentally deranged human being any more weight than they deserve. Metro Nashville attorney Laura Fox confirmed yesterday that there's no objection to the release of documents found in the car of the Covenant School shooter with limited redactions. Obviously, they name said shooter in the article that I'm reading from Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star. Leahy, the editor-in-chief of the Star and the publication's parent company, the Star News Digital Media Incorporated Company, are among the plaintiffs suing to compel the Metro Nashville Police Department to release the so-called manifesto. Laura Fox, Metro Nashville attorney, told Chancery Court Judge Laisha Miles that the Metro Nashville Police Department maintains the position previously articulated by Assistant Chief Mike Hager in an affidavit declaring that a redacted version of the manifesto could be released without harming their investigation, an investigation that for whatever reason continues to this day. I would suggest the investigation stays open because they don't want to release this information. Fox appeared to consent to the release of the documents recovered in the car, which became known as her manifesto, if you will. Said Metro continues to object to the release of the voluminous other writings by the individual that includes names, activities, and information about weapons. Fox insisted those documents are, quote, very important to police. They're still in the investigatory process. It could help determine any possible accessory to the shooting that killed 6 March of 2023. I think that's a lot of excuse making as well. This obviously remains a sensitive topic in the city of Nashville and in the surrounding community. As we know individuals that were affected by this, we have spoken to those Covenant moms and dads. We've spoken to those directly impacted by the events of March of last year. At the same time, I can't help but ask these questions. What do they think we can't see, and what are they afraid that we will see? Those are two different questions. I think with two different answers, obviously. What do they think we can't see or shouldn't see? Well, that might be a legitimate concern, that question, in and of itself. Because I understand that you do not want to inspire other potential shooters, copycats or otherwise, in certain ways that individuals could exploit loopholes within the system to better access guns or access people in order to do those people harm. So there's some legitimacy to the idea of redaction, of, redacting names of innocent individuals or names of targeted individuals or perhaps names of targeted locations. All of that's legitimate. Methods of the individual by which they would gain access to these facilities. Obviously, we can understand why you would want to redact some of that information. But I think the second question goes more to the heart of our concern. What are they afraid that we will see? Are they afraid that we will see someone who is incredibly troubled, who was led down a path that promised some sort of mental resolution to said psychological issues based on the changing of one's gender, either in their own mind or physically? I don't know. I don't know. The concern that is shared mostly to me by individuals in our community that very much want to see this, it is not a rubbernecking or, an interest that involves, seeing the train accident or the car accident. It's more a concern that our society seems to deem certain things off limits if it doesn't fit a narrative created by certain individuals or certain groups. And it feels as if, I think empirical data suggests that I'm right here, that if you are a right-winger, if you are a, MAGA hat-wearing, Trump-supporting right-winger deemed a domestic terrorist, we're going to release every bit of information that we can find on you in the interest of public disclosure. And there's never a question about methods or opportunity or redactions. But if you're someone that called herself transgender and perhaps some of the writings involve, your psychological disposition, that's off limits to us? What are you so afraid of? We're all grown here. Let's go. Speaking of grown-ups, 216, Supertalk 99.7 WT, and Cameron Smith joins us. We call him the Daypart Trader.
What?
You're a Daypart Trader.
Daypart Trader?
Daypart Trader, not like day trader.
Oh, I was
that would
like,
be the stock market.
Trading stock.
He's saying you
Daypart.
don't know who butters your bread, mister.
Here's how this went down. So Mandis, I'm just gonna peel the curtain back. All right. So we're talking about the education scholarship bill. We're texting back and forth. This is yesterday.
Sure.
Okay. And in the midst of that, I said, well, Scott Spicky has agreed to come on. He's going to answer everyone's question. Very excited about that. Spicky eventually had to pull off that because there's a lot of debate going on.
Yeah, of course.
In the General Assembly. And he said, I can't do it. I can do it tomorrow. In the midst of all that, Dan says, I'm having Cameron on tomorrow. Is that okay? And so I'm thinking he's talking about Cameron Sexton, the Speaker of the House of the General Assembly. And I'm like, why is my boss asking me if it's okay that he has the Speaker of the House on? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so this morning, I text him and I said, how was Sexton? I missed it. And he says, what? And I said, Cameron Sexton. You said you were. And he goes, no, Cameron Smith. And I said, you had Cameron Smith on the same day that I have him on my show every week? And he's like, you said it was okay.
It's good. It's good.
And I said, well, I can't blame Dan in this because there was some miscommunication, but I can blame you.
That's fine.
What's going on?
Blame away.
How are you?
I'm good. I've been talking about this voucher stuff, and, what a train wreck. I mean, I like what you were saying about the manifesto. I think it is interesting. I mean, I'm in camp like, I don't want manifestos to be an incentive for future weirdos to say my stuff's going public. I like the idea of redacting names and locations, but under the law as it's currently written, I don't think that anybody's got a leg to stand on to say this isn't an active investigation anymore. There's nothing here that you can use to hold this from the public, and I think you probably have to release it.
Well, and my two questions, as I just posed them, two similar questions in their form, but very different in terms of the answer, is what do you believe we don't need to see? That would be a redaction-based question.
Sure.
And what are you afraid we will see? And that's more of almost a rhetorical comment to their desire to shield this. I understand it's emotional. I understand it's raw. These incidents always are, but it feels to most of us like this is specific to the nature of this issue, and that leads us to the specific psychological predisposition of the shooter.
Oh, I don't think it's that. I think it's just solely you got a lot of the Covenant families with clout that are like, we do not want to have to relive this or deal with media cycles on this. And so we want to do what we can to and I get that. I understand the argument. I just don't think it's a legal one.
I understand that it's not a legal one. And I'm going to say this very sensitively. I understand what you just said, but it doesn't hold a lot of weight with me when the same people that are saying that on one hand are going before television cameras repeatedly on the other hand to argue for gun regulations in the state of Tennessee.
Sure.
So you can't tell me that any moment that you are forced to relive this is a moment where you have some sort of greater say, and then you choose to put yourself in a position of reliving it,
where people are going to ask you about what
people
happened.
are going to ask you about the question. So I mean, I'm sensitive. I know that that's not everyone, and please, understand the nature of what I'm saying. I'm just. I don't know. You can have it both ways.
For me, it's just the copycat thing. And again, I don't even think the copycat thing, based on the law as it currently stands, if they're an ongoing investigation, fine. You could hold it, but in this situation, I don't see that.
That's my favorite part. I mean, I won't say favorite part. I don't mean to laugh about any of this. Don't get me wrong. But in all of this, it's just become an absolute joke that the Metro Nashville Police Department would tell you, well, the investigation is still ongoing, Cameron.
It's not.
No, it's not. I mean, we know it's not.
We know what happened.
It's still open, but it's open in part
to shield a document.
To shield the documents.
Right. And that should not be allowed, right? When there is no legal question outstanding to be resolved as it relates to the perpetrator of a crime because they're dead, unless you have somebody that helped them, somebody that aided and abetted or something like that, if you don't have any of that, which in this case we have no reason to believe any of that's the case, then that argument doesn't hold water.
All right, in a moment, we will speak to daypart trader Cameron Smith about the aforementioned education scholarship bill. And I will ask him a very direct question right after the break, and that is, does this pass or does it not pass? And if so, why? And if not, why? That's coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, when you put something in your body, do you know where it's coming from? I mean, you want to know where your food's from, right? I mean, obviously, and you would like to know where your vitamins and your supplements are coming from. But let me tell you, if you get them from the big box stores, I'm sad to report that more often than not, they're coming from somewhere else, not around here. I mean, sometimes from China. A lot of the quote-unquote materials come from China. And a lot of times these pills are put together in other countries. Not in the United States of America. I want to know that we have American standards. I want to know that we have regulatory standards that I'm comfortable putting vitamins and supplements in my body. And I get that from membersnutrition.com. Membersnutrition.com is a one-stop shop for all things products involving vitamins and supplements. They have energy supplements, detox supplements. We talk about the daily defense detoxification, the cleanse, if you will, immune boosters, sports nutrition, relaxation supplements, men's health, weight management, women's health, and so much more. I'm a big fan of Daily Defense. I order from Daily Defense. I'm not just a spokesperson. I'm also a client. I would encourage you to go over and find the Beet Max organic beetroot powder tablets, which promotes energy in a natural way. I love beets anyway, so I'll eat them at any opportunity. And now I have the organic beetroot that I take from Members Nutrition. It's just one of the many, many products that they have available at membersnutrition.com, all made right here in the good old USA. And they cost you less money. Did I mention that? Membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you. It is a benevolent dictatorship on the Matt Murphy radio show on Super Talk. That means that, well, I'm a dictator, but I'm a nice guy. So I have a question for all of you, and I'll include Daypart Trader Cameron Smith in this analysis.
Okay.
As long as you keep laughing at it, I'm going to keep doing it.
That's great.
I have James on line 1, and it says that James, the subject line under James, it says, James Shelbyville Moon Pie. I feel like I should stop everything else and go to James.
Probably.
Hello, James. How are you?
Fine. Who is this, Matt Murphy?
This is Matt Murphy. How are you? Good?
Getting older by the minute.
Yeah, well, I tried to keep the hold to a minimum, James.
I heard y'all talking about moon pies between Shelbyville and Murfreesboro. There's a little town called Bell Buckle, and
Yes,
they
sir.
have a fall fest there every year. And they have it's a RC moon pie. Thing.
Okay. Well, and what time of year do you know off the top of your head, James?
No, it's sometime in the fall. I got a neighbor next door over here. She's got a booth over there when the fall comes, and she sews a lot of quilts. She does quilting.
You know, I'm sitting here, James. I'm going to find out the dates of this festival, and I'm going to go. Will you go with me if I go?
Oh yeah.
I'll buy you a moon pie, RC Cola.
Yeah.
Well, you get to pick the flavor. There's a bunch of them.
There's
only
one flavor.
Our street company, I think, makes the knee high too. I don't know. Knee high orange.
What'd you say, James? I missed that last part.
I think the RC company makes the knee high orange. I don't know if they're still in business or not.
Well, we used to call that, when I was a kid, we used to call that the big orange.
Gross.
Yeah.
I know. And I stopped doing that when I moved to Tennessee, James. You know why?
Why?
Stinky old Tennessee volunteers.
James like that.
Well, I lived out in the West Coast for a long time, but I'm originally from Memphis. I used to travel and sell out of Memphis in H-Day area back in the early 60s. And I was coming through Middle Tennessee. I liked this area so much. So when I moved from California in 05, back here to Tennessee, I didn't like Memphis anymore. So I moved here to Middle Tennessee, to Shelbyville. I'm a equine photographer, retired now.
Well, let me tell you, if you're in Shelbyville and you like taking pictures of horses, you're in the right place. I mean, Bell Buckle and all that area around in there. That is that's called, what is that? The walking horse capital of the world, right?
Yeah, of the world. Yeah. Besides, I think Shelbyville also is supposed to be the capital of the pencil or ink pen.
The capital of the
pen capital.
Okay. Well, here's what we'll do. We just need to make a weekend of it. And are you, Mr. James, this is a personal question, but are you a drinking man?
No, I quit. It's been 40 years since I had a drink.
That's perfect, because you can drive me. We can drive to the Jack Daniels distillery. You can be my personal driver, and then we'll get over to Bell Buckle and check out those moon pies. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Well, you thank you for your call. Thank you for letting me know about the Moon Pie Festival, and you take care, sir.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yes, sir. All right, God bless you. Mr. James checking in.
It's cool. Every town has something like that. Like Nolensville, it's the Buttercup Festival.
Yeah.
And we just had it the day before taxes were due. That was fun.
It's nice.
My crew and I were running around, and there's literally only one kid not wearing a shirt in the whole Buttercup Festival, and it was my 12-year-old. It was like, Dad, I got some stuff on my shirt, so I'm just not going to wear one. I'm like, okay.
That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, well, they told his mama. Somebody saw him, and his soccer coach, he told Justine, he said,
Wait a minute, because Justine obviously wasn't there because all of this happened.
Yep.
And what happened when she found out?
She was like, sweetie, I mean, really? Like, the only person at the Buttercup Festival without a shirt on was my son. Said, I think that's probably true. And she's like,
yes, your son. Not my son, your son.
You think we can do a little better? And I said, I don't know, maybe.
All right, so real quick, 32 after the hour, we got news coming up. I got blueberry moon pies, lemon moon pies, chocolate moon pies, mint, banana, vanilla, and strawberry and salted caramel. How about that?
Yak.
I said it. I said 3 syllables, caramel. It's 32 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
2:32. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 80 degrees, a cloudy day in the mid-states. Seems like the chances of showers and storms have mostly dissipated. Forecast on the way in 2 minutes. The Senate was thrown in a holding pattern at the start of the impeachment trial of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. He's charged with failing to enforce immigration laws, an allegation Democrats reject as partisan and unwarranted. Stephen Portnoy has the latest.
Senate Leader Chuck Schumer is hoping to wrap all this up today with a vote to dismiss the charges against Alejandro Mayorkas. But an offer to Republicans, allowing them to advocate for their own proposed procedure for a trial, prompted this objection from Missouri's Eric Schmidt.
I will not assist Senator Schumer in setting our Constitution ablaze.
Schumer responded with a demand for a vote on the constitutionality of the impeachment, saying it doesn't rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors.
And the Senate just voted to kill the first impeachment article against Mayorkas. Here in Tennessee, crime right now, 19-year-old Dylan Duke has been handed multiple charges, including a DUI after leading a chase and hitting 2 law enforcement vehicles. Happened this past Sunday on State Highway 49 headed westbound. Duke, after getting hit once, tried to run away on his feet. He was inadvertently struck by another car in the process. He sustained minor injuries. No law enforcement officials were injured in the process. That's the latest news. Got a weather forecast next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
The members nutrition super text line is blowing up with James Love. James, I hope you're still listening. Everybody loves you, brother. And I do too, man. That's so good. Please call back anytime. Let me just give you a little bit of rundown. 0152 says, great call from James in Shelbyville. Let's see. Belle, my cat likes your picture. I don't know what that means. But there's that.
You got some kinky, weird stuff happening.
2300 says RC and Moon Pie Festival, June, Bell Buckle, 3-day craft fair, mid-October. Well, okay. Well, let's go.
Let's do it.
I'm in. I'm all in. Cornbread and Moonshine Festivals in Granville. Okay. Well, we'll do that one too.
With all the festivals.
Matt, you're a good man to be kind to James. Oh, well, heck, I love James to death. I mean, I'm not being kind to James. That's pretty good.
James isn't kind to the Vols.
he liked my Vols, Joe.
He did.
He's like, but we used to call it a big orange back in the day.
Who likes the blueberry moon pies? Who?
I've never had one, but I'd try it. I mean, I wouldn't turn one down.
Moon pies are just gross.
No, moon pies are fine. I can go with the traditional moon pie, but when you start getting exotic on me.
What did you just say?
Moon pies are gross. They're nasty.
Do you like Goo Goo clusters?
Yes.
I wish that I had some authority to punish you. I don't know that I do.
I'm punished noon to 3 every day.
I just cannot believe you opened your mouth and you said that.
But it's just, I think moon pie is like, well, you know what we do? We have a perfectly good thing that a lot of people like. Why don't we make it weird? And they made all these flavors.
Wait a minute.
Where's the birthday cake flavor?
Wait, hold on. What's the original flavor of moon pie?
It's a chocolate one.
No, it's banana.
Is it?
Yes, I think.
I thought it was chocolate.
Yeah, banana was definitely the first.
I think banana was first.
Well, they got it wrong, and then they got it right.
They experimented a little bit.
Right.
And they got the chocolate one right. And it's true.
Well, there's nothing. I hate banana flavored stuff. Like bananas, I'm fine. Flavored stuff. But like, just bananas are fine themselves. I don't need the flavor of it.
But the banana flavored stuff doesn't taste like a banana. It's like grape flavored stuff doesn't taste like grapes.
Right.
It's like
blue raspberry is the best. Like,
look, I'll order it and we'll try it next week.
Okay.
I'll get it. We'll get. Let me see if they have a variety pack. I'm on their website.
I need to know who the first one is. Was it banana? I mean, is that real?
I think that's real.
All right.
I don't think it was chocolate, and maybe they went. It was 1 and 1A, but I am pretty confident. Put a moon pie in the microwave, says 0939. You know, I try not to make. It's a regular statement that I'll make on this show that let's not make a matter of taste a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So I take back what I said about Bel K. He is perfectly entitled to be a man of poor taste.
Moon pie in the microwave is pretty cool.
I've never done it.
So if you want to make just an easy s'more, you take a jumbo marshmallow and you stick it in the microwave about 10 seconds. It poofs up real big.
Mm-hmm.
Stick your chocolate on that.
Mm-hmm.
Slam it together. It's one of the best s'mores you ever had, and you don't have to have a campfire.
All right, I love it. 241. Will the Education Scholarship Fund pass, yes or no?
Right now, no. I'm so sad. It's so dumb.
Did you say no, or
No.
did you say I don't know?
I said right now, no.
Oh, right now, no. Okay.
This is Governor Lee. Like he's got to, if he wants this to be his hurrah, and
He better get in on that.
Get in.
If he's not in on it, he better get in on it. You better convince Jeremy Faison that he needs to vote in favor of it on committee, because it's my understanding that he's the vote that flipped, that turned yes in committee to no in committee. Now, some of you love that. Some of you hate it. If you hate it, you might want to make a call.
Yeah. Well, my deal is you need to break some heads here. Like, if you care about this and it's the right thing for kids and you know it, look, the House bill's got a lot of junk in it. It's got a lot of other stuff unrelated. When the TEA is coming out and saying, well, a lot of our priorities are in this thing, you should kind of be paying attention, like maybe that's a bad thing. And just, if you got a voucher bill, get it through the Senate, put it on the, say, House, let's get some votes here. And then have Governor Lee go over there and say, you know what? You want to oppose it, you oppose it, but I've got nothing but time after this, and I'm going to find you a primary opponent. Like, not this cycle, but for the next one. So
I mean, because wait a minute, if you do that, Phil Williams will have a big expose.
Yeah, he can investigate away because that's called politics.
Blackmail.
That's not blackmail. That's politics,
blackmail,
Bill.
sir. That is extortion.
It's like his big expose against Scott Sapicki, that Scott Sapicki had the audacity to say to a group of people, we've been nibbling around the edges again about public education. It's time to burn it down and rebuild it. Oh, he said burn it down.
If Scott's going to go burn schools, I mean, great. But, like, come on. We all know better, so we need to stop playing these silly games. Like, politics, you play hardball. If you don't, you're not very good at it. So
well, Scott's just one of those pansy vegans anyway, so, what do you expect?
Excuse me, I have to get back to callers, and I have to get some semblance of control back to this radio show. But before I do, are you ready with the music?
Which music?
The music that I like for you to play when I'm right on. So hold on, don't play it yet. I'm going to read something, and then I want you to play it. Question was what was the original moon pie flavor?
Yeah, we got that wrong.
The answer is, as invented in 1917 and made by the Chattanooga Bakery for over 100 years, the original moon pie flavor was chocolate. Cameron was right. Cameron was right. Murphy was wrong. There, you got it. That's it. Get out of here.
I figured it was old enough that banana would not be a likely flavoring at that point.
I think banana didn't come in until the 60s, actually.
Wait, you were with me like 5 seconds ago. You were like, oh, yeah, Matt's right, banana's right. And I was like, come on, Murphy.
And then I looked it up. That's why I said we were wrong.
That's a flop. Good joke.
Steve is in Bellevue. Steve, thank you for your call. How are you?
Oh, good afternoon. I got one thing to say about moon pies. Like Jerry Clower famously said, if you send a boatload of moon pies and ROC colors over to the Mideast, we'll end that oil embargo. That's all I got to say about that. Boy, north if you don't like moon pies.
Then that's how you know someone's Southern, too, because you said ROC Coca-Cola. You got to say it like that.
You got that right. Now, I'm 4,200. I texted you quite a bit. We talked about Roswell earlier this week, I think. But I think it was Mr. Smith that was on your program last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And this attorney put up this polemic disaster of a straw man argument saying that anybody that expects civil war wants to shoot somebody. All the dastardly people that think civil wars are coming, they want to shoot people.
No, I just said who should we shoot and why? That's the question.
You just disrespected everybody that's taken the oath of office to serve in our armed forces and to defend our country in law enforcement. We all take an oath to defend this country from any enemy, foreign or domestic.
Okay. Sounds good.
We don't look to shoot anybody. We don't want to shoot anybody.
Cool.
I've been handling firearms for over 50 years. I'm a Tennessee State licensed ag instructor. I've taught law enforcement. I've taught security. I've taught regular individuals in the use of firearms. We don't look to shoot anybody.
But if we're not going to shoot anybody, we can't have a good war.
That is one of our worst nightmares, is to have to shoot anybody.
Yeah.
And if civil war comes, you can bet that those of us that have taken that oath to defend our nation from enemies, foreign and domestic, will go up there and defend our nation.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Steve, calm down. Calm down. Calm down. I want to ask you a question.
Happen to be our government.
Steve, talk to me. Talk to me for a second. Hold on. Cameron, get out of here. Okay, Steve, what if our enemy is our government? Who do you side with?
I said. If the enemy's the government, we'll go up there and deal with it.
Wait a minute. No. Hold on. But Steve, stop for a second. Just talk. You don't monologue. Just me and you talking, okay? So, but you understand what I'm saying to you is that you swore an oath to a government, and if the government becomes the enemy, doesn't that break the oath?
I did not swear an oath to the government.
I feel like maybe. Hold on. Dadgummit, Steve. Calm down.
I'm not that oath again.
Steve, I'm not trying. Steve. Well, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to shut you down. Okay?
Go ahead.
I tried. I was just trying to have a conversation with him. That it's curious to me that you're talking about the oath that you swore to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You swore that oath to your country and the Constitution. So if there is a, quote, civil war, then that indicates to me that somebody's fighting against the very government that you swore the oath to.
Right.
And then I was just trying to figure out who you would be with and under what circumstances. I was not at all trying to argue with you. But
well, that was the general point that I was making was that at some point, the Declaration of Independence is a good example. You say that the government that's in place is no longer protecting our rights. It's not doing the thing it was set up to do. And so we need to dissolve and, essentially oppose that government. Are we there yet? And that was the question is, in the American Revolution, you bet folks took up arms and started shooting British because they said, you are oppressing us and, you're taking away our rights. And so that was my question is, are we at a point where we need to start shooting or not? And the answer I got from a lot of folks was no.
Well, and many of you are pointing out, and I understand the point that's being made, that you swear an oath to the Constitution.
Sure.
I promise you that the United States government, if it ever comes down to it, they will suggest that they are on the side of the United States Constitution at that point. And you're going to have to make a decision whether or not that's so. You're going to have to make a decision about where your allegiance lies. They will tell you that if you make a decision that the government has extended itself beyond its constitutional role, that is a stand against the Constitution of the United States. So I'm just telling you what they're going to say.
That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
Right.
Like, the Confederate States of America was we said that this union that we were a part of, we didn't want to be a part of it anymore. Right? So that is a rejection of the United States Constitution in favor of the Confederate States of America.
Right.
That's what the original Civil War was. So you need to be clear about that. And if you're willing, again, to have another civil war, you're saying that the government that's in place, the processes that are in place are insufficient to protect our rights. So we're rejecting that. You don't get to say, hey, I'm really for the Constitution, but I want to change everything.
Well, and you did ask a very provocative question, which I think deserved to be asked, which is, if we're going to start shooting, who are we shooting?
And why?
Why? Yeah. You're just going to whip out the gun and fire in the air?
It's one of the reasons why I've been told to go see the movie Civil War and not to go see the movie Civil War, because apparently the movie it's very, very ambiguous why they're fighting.
Right.
It's just like it's the government represented by D.C. and then Texas and California have gotten together for some reason.
Is this new Kirsten Dunst movie?
I don't know if Kirsten Dunst is in it, but it's Ron Swanson is in it.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
He's the president apparently. So is that right? I think that's right. All right, Cameron. Thank you.
Thank you,
Dave Part Trader. It's 2:50 on Super Talk 99.7. Cameron will stick around while we talk to Brian Wilson about what's coming up this afternoon on The Drive. That's next. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Moments before we came back on air, Cameron Smith asked me a question. And I am going to parlay that question directly to, or transfer it directly to, our good friend, host of The Drive, Brian Wilson. Hello, Mr. Wilson. How are you?
What am I getting into here?
Cameron Smith, this is a true question. Cameron just asked me, do you think Mike Johnson will survive? And I know how I answered the question, but Brian, how would you answer that question?
I think it's getting dicey for him. He just has such a thin margin. And there's this, really, I look back at this whole thing. I say it's Kevin McCarthy's fault. He wanted to be speaker so bad that he allowed this rule to be in place that any one member of the House could call to have a vacation of the chair. And by vacating the chair, that means basically you fire your Speaker of the House. You're never, no matter what position you take as Speaker of the House, you're never going to please everyone. So if you displease even just a handful of people, you're out if they get their backup. Now the question is, I think that if they do get rid of him, well, who in the hell would want the job now?
Well, that's a great
Wasn't
question.
that the question we asked last time?
Yeah,
but after getting rid of two, if you got rid of two speakers, nobody wants to be speaker for 6 months.
Did you see that Massey said he's going to co-sponsor the measure?
I did. We covered that yesterday. He says he's going to back Marjorie Taylor Greene, and he says he thinks that the measure will be called at some point, and that he'll be ousted. And I don't know. You hear the speaker say he doesn't. He's not worried about it, but he should be.
Well, no question on that. What's coming up on the drive this afternoon, Brian Wilson?
We're going to get to the bottom of where we are with this education proposal that the governor wanted to pass this legislative session. We have two competing bills and a lot of talk and very grim talk that the measure is dead. We'll be joined by Senator Jack Johnson on that. Pete Hegseth will join us at 4:35. And let me say in advance how much I appreciate you filling in for me on Thursday and Friday because I'm going to take a couple of days. We have to sort of schedule our vacations a little early because we're going to be busy later this summer with conventions and the election. So I'm going to take a couple of days off, and I appreciate you filling in. And because it is officially my Friday, we will have at least one round of Phone Your Farm Friday.
Love it. There's Brian Wilson, and it is my pleasure, absolutely my pleasure, to fill in for Brian Wilson on the drive on the days that he is absent. And he's coming up today for a fun-filled Wednesday edition after Mac Maury's newscast. Have a great day, folks. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.